and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Aman. Shalom, family. Peace, peace. Hopefully, everybody's doing well on this evening. You give me a second. All right, hold on one second. So, prayerfully, everybody is doing well on this evening. Hope that you guys are having a great night. Thank you for those who were able to join us for the Northeast Regional meeting. And we're excited and grateful to be in front of you guys one more again. Tonight, not going to be on too long. To be honest with you, I'm tired. Have not really slept. Got a couple more phone calls actually to make after this, just to check on our family. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. And got to get up early tomorrow for some UK business. But so I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. Prayerfully, you guys have had a great night. Got a notification. Praise y'all. How y'all doing? We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. And we thank everybody for being on. I'm going to go right into it because I'll be honest with you, I'm fading a little bit, and I'm in and out of it. So, but we're going to give this dynamic message and be faithful to the Word. So you can just say the Bible pledge with me if you like, or repeat after me, whichever one. This is my Bible. This is my sword, and this will I trust. For Yahashua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahweh. Amen. Amen. So shalom, peace, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Oh yeah. Thank you, Minister Stephen, for being on. I figured you probably had to dip, but thank you. And how's everybody doing? How you doing, Minister Stephen, Bruda, Darius, Sister Mignon? Oh, hey babe, my beautiful bride. How you doing? Darius, uh, Brother Dwayne, excuse me. How you doing, Takara? Everybody, come on in, springtime, etc. Thank you guys for being on. Shemuel bin Yehuda, Aman. Amen. We keep her in prayer. Amen. So tonight we're just going to talk about simply put, show up. And this one means a lot to me tonight. It means a lot to me just in general. One thing I've learned is to show up. And I apologize. I'm sorry. I can't even see certain things. So TikTok must be having issues. Can you guys hear and see me on TikTok? All right. It's not even showing how many persons are on this, that, etc. How you doing, Minister Tamer? Sorry. I don't know if it's too late to try and call you this evening. I got a phone call I'm supposed to make, and then I was going to try and reach out. And I know you're an hour after me. I just want to do a quick check-in with you real quick. You guys can? Okay. All right. Because I can't see. There's a lot of stuff missing that normally is on here. So forgive me if I miss something you say or whatever. It seems like I'm having problems on my end. But as long as you guys can see and hear, fine. That's great. So, amen. We'll pray for her as well, Sister Mion. Prayers for Sister Dakar. Prayers for Sister Mignon's daughter. Amen. So show up. What do I mean by show up? Sometimes we miss out on opportunities because we're so much in our head about something that we will not show up for an opportunity. If that makes sense. How you doing, Brother Vincent? How you doing, Shamwali? Shamwali Habadach. Right? You sure? Because I'm not sure. I'm trying to. These next couple of days are going to be crazy. I already told you we're going to be pretty much Thursday, Friday. Thursday I'll be around on the live sessions, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to be all over the place. So I'm trying to make sure that I reach out. Amen. But yes, okay, all right. But if you don't mind, can you do me a favor, big sis, please? Please give me a reminder on Tuesday or even on Wednesday. It don't have to be long on Wednesday because I know you guys going to have my day off. But I feel led to make sure we have a certain conversation, some of the stuff to build upon what we were talking about in the live session earlier, if you don't mind. So if you don't mind, please, if you can do that for me, I would appreciate that. And thank you for allowing me to do so. How you doing, Brother Craig? How you doing, Sister Isaka, Sister Iska? So once again, today we're talking about show up. Show up. It's two of the most important words you'll ever hear. Sometimes the most difficult thing to do, and you would think it'd be the simplest thing, but many times we don't show up. What do you mean show up? Who cares if you know how to preach and if you don't show up for the preaching assignment? You know what I'm saying? How you doing, Star Bright? Who cares if you know how to make sure that persons are fed if you don't show up with all the equipment. How you doing, Sister Drea? Right? Sometimes showing up is more important than the other stuff. You would be surprised. Right. Matter of fact, maybe you're not because you've seen me and you know that life's and I'm somebody that doesn't mind putting myself in a position to where y'all just see sometimes when I be out here raggedy, messed up, jacked up, don't know how to do stuff with the signal, people yelling at me, whatever. Right. And one thing I've learned to do is show up. Heck, even show up late. I hate showing up late, but it's become a thing. I don't know why it's become so thematic about life. How you doing, Minister Morel? But showing up nonetheless. Right. There's a lot more that we can do if we actually show up. Oh, thank you, Brother Craig. Appreciate that, right? You see what I'm saying? If we can show up, it's like if there's persons that won't show up to do the work, won't show up to practice, won't show up to study. We always talk about how we can't do something. May I tell you something? I'm worse, believe it or not. I know some of my elders will look at me crazy when I say this. I'm probably worse at social media, at emails, at text messages and all that than any of you are. And I definitely started off worse than all of you. I know somebody said that. Matter of fact, when it comes to preaching, if you had heard my first sermon, maybe not my first sermon, but my first sermon in the truth. And I guess even still I was in church, but you know what I'm saying? I was coming out of some other stuff I was in. It's probably the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. But I showed up. I was way over time. They had to basically like kick me off stage or off the pulpit. But I showed up and I kept showing up consistently because I had a calling. It reminds me kind of Kobe Bryant. You guys know that. You guys know how you doing, Sister Beck. You know that Kobe Bryant talks about that and how or talked about it, talked about it, whatever, and how he didn't start playing basketball till maybe he was somewhere 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there, and plays his first basketball game, played a lot of minutes, didn't score anything, did horribly. His father, Joe Bryant, played in the NBA, also played as a professional around the world. That's why Kobe speaks different languages and stuff because he was raised in other parts. He wasn't really raised in the United States of America. And he cried. He was upset. He was frustrated. He was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm going to quit. His father said, as long as you do your best when you show up, son, he was like, I'm always going to love you, right? And he said his father telling him that is the reason why he kept playing. So if you enjoyed Kobe Bryant playing, if you hated Kobe Bryant playing, you have his father, who so many people talk so ill of and talk in such an ill manner. But you have his father to thank for that his father let him know, show up and I'll love you. I felt that, right? Show up and I'll love you. Right? I'm going to love you through what you already don't think you can do. I didn't choose you, right? Because you're never going to need me. I didn't choose you because if you make a mistake, I'll stop loving you. How you doing, Donovan? I chose you because you're my child. How you doing, Sister Sabria? I chose you because you're my child. So show up. Solomon, an early riser Bible study session, and during the live session. He just happened to be there. And because he happened to be there, guess what? People say in the chat and he gets to see, everybody's saying shalom, this, that, whatever. That's just because he's my son. Show up. If anybody should be able to learn truths and learn about these teachings that we're doing, he shall. Because he has the opportunity to show up because he's my child. I'm feeling that. Right? Show up and see what happens. That's it. He can be sleep late because he ain't got school like all the other children and stuff. He's homeschooled and he can get up later, not wash his face, any of that. But all he'll do is just show up. Sometimes he'll just sit in the corner. Sometimes he'll stand there and watch. Sometimes he comes in, gets a hug, leaves out. Sometimes he looks in the chat. He wants to see what y'all are talking about. Sometimes he looks in the chat and he loves to see y'all say hello. He says shalom back and he's gone. Right? But all he got to do is show up. And because he's my child, there's already things that are there. See, Yah's not asking you whoever I'm talking to, and hopefully your fasting is going well so far, right? Day number 1 of intermittent fasting. I just ate a little while ago, praise y'all. And it was some great stuff. When you don't eat all day, it makes the food taste better. But all you have to do with Yah, I won't say all, but the first thing is to show up. If you knock at the door, you can enter. If you seek, you can find. If you ask, it shall be given unto thee. Show up, right? I have gone from somebody who I would hate to see get up in front of, seriously, I'm telling you, I wish I had it recorded. I talk about this, people be thinking I'm lying. My initial sermon, it was in Honolulu. I'm sorry, it was in Honolulu, Oahu, Ohio. Honolulu, Oahu, Hawaii, Kauai, Hawaii. Biggest African American whatever church in Hawaii. One of the bigger ones, in the country, but biggest one in Hawaii. And I went up there and I stunk up the joint. But I knew even when I got up there, I was like, man, I was nervous. But if I got past nervousness, I could have said this. I could have done this. I could have had this in order. When I was preaching when I was a child, I did better than this. What happened, right? It had been years since I preached. But I felt like I was doing something that was truth. And you know what Yahweh, he did? He honored my showing up. Next time, I basically had to do another initial sermon. They didn't allow me. Preachers, that's why I be telling the preachers, ministerial staff, when they do the training, they don't believe me when I first tell them. I'm like, yeah, like I promise you, you're not going to do worse than I did. And they don't believe me. But when I had to do a whole nother initial sermon, none of them had to do that with us, right, so far. And if you do, hey, show up again. But I finished, and then I had to do it again. And I went up and did the same exact sermon, same exact notes, same exact everything. Might have worn the same suit. But when I went up this time, I was confident that because I showed up, and not just what people saw, but I showed up, and this time I had practice, and I had the little, we still had back then. It was in the past the year 2000, but we were still using. Y'all remember the timer, and you twist the timer, and then it starts going around. I would use that. I put my 15 minutes on. I would have persons listen to me. I would have friends and family listen to me, right? It might not be. I'm just being. I'm usually pretty decent at even being able to be honest about my own stuff. I'm not always, right, but I promise you, you would be surprised that the same person that spoke then speaks now, or maybe not, because person should have the opportunity to grow, right? That being said, though, every day I showed up. See, when I show up in front of you all, a lot of persons don't even realize sermons and stuff like, where did that come from? I've been showing up and studying research for years. Well, not only that, some persons think, oh yeah, he just comes up with something on the fly. And sometimes Holy Ghost might say, this is what I wanted you to do in the first place. Toss that other stuff aside. You're doing this today. Sometimes that happens, but real talk. And thank you for the love. How you doing, babe? Once again, sometimes Holy Ghost might tell you to do that, but a lot of times I'm working on stuff 5 days bare minimum in advance. Just because I'm preaching you something today doesn't mean that I'm not working on something a while from now. I'm looking at stuff 3-4 times throughout the day and being like, what are you saying, Holy Ghost? How can we speak on that? How you doing, Brother Jermaine? How can we preach that? Thank you, baby. Yeah, you stay ready, right? You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's an excellent way of putting it. And so in staying ready, that means every day I show up. If this was basketball, put it like this: if I didn't know that we had a game, for some strange reason I forgot we had a game tomorrow, I'm the type of player that would be like, hey, put me in no matter what, because I show up consistently every day. I show up, right? I showed up and shot. That I tell persons, like, if you want to learn from me, persons say, I want to learn from you. I want to learn from you. And I'm like, I don't know if y'all really want to learn from me. Like, I don't even like teaching certain things, because I tell persons, especially if you want to do one-on-one stuff with me, like, if you want to do one-on-one, if you're not disciplined, we're not going to last that long, or you're not going to get the best out of me, because I'm not really going to give you the push that you really need. And persons say, why wouldn't you? And I say, well, to be honest, without having somebody pushing me, I'm the type of person that shot 1,000 free throws, shot 1,000 jumpers, did the mic and drill every day under the basket, right? Was doing all that stuff. right? I'm the type of person that hurt his knee, couldn't play anymore, but then all of a sudden got into some of the leagues that are, just like gym leagues and stuff like that, and all of a sudden turned into a point guard when got hurt and wasn't growing like I thought I was when I thought I was going to be 7 feet. All of a sudden became a 6.5 foot point guard overnight because I'm in the gym. Right, I'm the type of person where I know I can cross you, but I want to be able to be ambidextrous. So I'm gonna work on my left hand for 3 days. I'll even shoot shots with my left hand, right? Just because, like when I was working, I don't do it anymore. But that's the type of person I am. So if somebody were to invite me because I don't play basketball like that anymore, if I knew we had a game in 6 months, I promise you, you wouldn't like what would show up. I would be confident. I'd be consistent. I would put you in the post, right? I would back you down. I would do whatever I had to. Yeah, I'd go old school. I don't do the new school stuff the way they do anymore. But um, I'll be ready to go. I might try to yam on you, right? I'm coming and I'm practicing every day. I'm showing up 2-3 times a day. When I played music, when I was a musician, still a musician in heart, but I don't get to play anymore. But when I was a musician, and that's what I did all day, every day, several instruments, usually focus on my main ones, but I could go any instrument all day, 14, 15, 16 hours a day, forget that I didn't eat. When I was in the video games, I'm the type of person now to where, hey, I'm gonna show up every day. It's just a video game. Yeah, I thought I was gonna at one point I thought I was gonna make money playing video games. So same thing, 15, 16 hours. And persons thought, oh, you're just doing it because no, I legit thought that's what I was gonna do for a living. When I found out you could do that and I knew I was like better than most, I was like, man, maybe I can do that. It wasn't my calling, praise God that I didn't fall into that. Right. But yeah, I had the type of personality and you have to be careful because persons like this can become like a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant to where they forget that they're supposed to be great persons too. You know what I'm saying? Forget to develop your character, right? Even though you can dunk on somebody. But I'm saying all that to say, I show up when you see me show up in front of you, like on this evening, it's because I show up every minute. It's because any time, like any time that I have when I'm not okay, I don't have to do a phone call, I don't have to do paperwork, I don't do emails, I don't have to send mail, I don't have to make sure, besides of course, making sure my family's all right. I don't have to do dishes, I don't have to take out this, I don't have to do the trash, I don't have to do the laundry, I don't have to blah blah, I don't have to make sure that homeschooling stuff is done, I don't have to blah blah. Then guess what? Every second I get, I'm studying. I'm connected to this and I show up when nobody else would show up. Thank you, babe. I show up when nobody else will show up. And when I'm told you're not great at this, you're not great at this, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this. Guess what? Even though I might be mad when you tell me, I like it because I'm the type of person like if you talk trash on the basketball court, I'm gonna find how next time to make sure you will never say that about me again. If you cross me up every time you saw me last time, when we play basketball this time, you won't cross me up again. Or if you do, I'm not gonna fall down this time. Right? Right? If you beat me 10-1 before, you won't have to fight for it. Next time it's gonna be 10-7. Right? I'm just saying I'm the type of person where I get like maniacal with it sometimes. If I couldn't help you the last time, next time I need to be able to do a little more. I show up when others don't look. And so Father says, show up. See, right now you need to learn how to show up when nobody's looking. This is such a part of so many of our stories. And look, I'm a F list celebrity, right? Yes, I haven't made 100,000 subscribers, followers, whatever on any platform. Maybe collectively all together we well, yes, we do actually probably have more like 150, 200,000, and then there's other platforms, of course, where they play my videos and I don't even know they play them, right? I find that out more and more every day. That's cool, but I'm just saying, collectively, real talk, like collectively, we just keeping the buck. Uh, Collectively, we had that, right? But let's say I'm an F, like nobody really, unless you're in certain circles, you probably don't really know much about Kofi Ofori. At least this one. There's other Kofi Oforis out there. That being said, right? My story is like so many other so-called TikTok celebrities, A celebrities, B celebrities, C, D, E, down to me, F, right? Where there were so many years when nobody cared what I had to say. At least it felt like that. There were so many years where I was like, man, why am I doing this? You know how long that I was trying to get a 9 to 5, yo? Like I swear, persons don't be believing me. I was trying so hard to live a normal life and show up on church on Sunday. Matter of fact, y'all had to stop it. I see now he had to. Hola, ¿cómo estás, mi hermana? Right? I see y'all had to stop it. For had he not stopped it, I probably would have became somebody who, and there's nothing, no shade. I'm just saying it wasn't for me. I would have became maybe 100 to 150,000 a year, person that is living kind of sort of paycheck to paycheck, maybe has a really nice home and a nice car, and probably has a, you know, a family. Right. It's always been my desire to be married and have children. So probably would have, but that's probably what I would have been. But that's not my calling. And so y'all had to block it. But I'm telling you, I was showing up for it. And here's another thing. This is why I say keep showing up. That means that Yahweh himself blocked the door because he knows my mentality. He knows that even if I don't want to do it, just because I don't want to be called a failure at it, I'll keep showing up. And I had to learn. Some persons who know me now probably don't believe this. I had to learn how to like tell myself, you can't do that, and be okay with that. Or Yah's blocking you. Yah does not want that to happen for you. I'm just being honest. I had to learn. I was trying so hard. I promise you. Like some persons would not believe how hard I really just want. I wanted to be like, it had to become really clear that my beliefs would not be supported in the United States military, because everything in me wanted to be 20, 30, 40 years in, to be the first black man to do da 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 da. Seriously. Not even because it's necessarily what I wanted to do, but it's because if I joined it, I wanted to be the best of the best. When I was writing songs for orchestras, right? Some of you might ain't know that I was doing stuff like that in the classical level. When I was writing songs for orchestras and traveling with orchestras and stuff, I wanted to be better than everybody. I wanted to be the best conductor. I wanted to be the best maestro. I wanted to be the best composer. I wanted to be the best arranger. I wanted to be the best tuba player, the best flautist if necessary. We lost TikTok. Okay, sorry about that. We lost you guys. I just wanted to be the best, right? The first black tokenism thing, yeah. But that was my heart at the time. Anything I joined, I was going to be the first this, and I was going to be the best this, and I was going to be the first, and I was going to be the nicest, and I was going to be the blah blah. I was competitive about everything, not even with anybody else. I just felt like if you didn't do something, why not? Why not just be the best at it, the best you can be? And y'all, literally every step along the way for years and years and years, to the point where I was crying. And every time I would say, okay, I'm going to do full time, what you hear called full time ministry. Every time, and I won't be on too much longer. I see the time. But every time I would say, I'm going to do full time ministry. Every time I'd be like, I'm just going to be full time ministry and stuff. I would start to do it. Results would happen. I would get greater at it. I would show up. I would practice. I would hear persons that were way better than I, and still some that are better than I. Right. But I have the ability to show up no matter what. Like I've said this to persons a lot. There's persons out here that outpreach me 7 times a day. But they won't come on 7 times a week. And I'm not trying to say that to be competitive with them. They might not have the time. That might not be their calling to. They might have other things that are more important. They might be in a situation where they can get more out of 1 time than I can in the 7 times, right? But I'm the type of personality, I'm wired to where if this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to do it. And you can't tell me otherwise. And even if stuff is falling apart, I just have faith that what I see with my eyes is not what Yah sees with his vision for me. And so if his vision for me is stated different than what I see with my eyes, I can't stop showing up. I can't help it. Like this year is going to be really hard for me. Like last year was hard for me. I was supposed to take 1 to 2 weeks off. I only took 4 days off, right? This year is going to be hard for me because I'm actually going to take, and I've actually had to take time off more this year too. But I'm talking about like legit, okay, for my born day, I'm going to take 3 days off, come back to finish up the holy day season. Then right after the 24th, take a whole week off. Technically, I think 8 days off. And I don't like it's gonna be hard for me because I show up, and even if I'm not preaching in front of y'all, guess what I'll be doing? I'll be going right back to the default. I'll probably be preaching to the trees, or we're at the beach preaching to the sand. You know what I'm saying? If we're at a national park, I'll be preaching to the ants. If we're in a place that's really bad off, I'll be preaching to the roaches. I don't know, but I'll be preaching somewhere. Right? Even if it's not to you, even if I'm resting in my rest, because preaching is what I do in my rest. It's not even toil for me. My work is not even toil for me. I had to be careful though, because my body can't keep up with my spirit sometimes. And some of you know what I'm talking about with that. But show up and keep showing up. Why? Because in showing up, at least show up. See, some person say, I don't know what my purpose is. Show up in something. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do. Show up for something. And if Yah closes the door, he closes doors that no man can open, and he opens doors no man can shut. If he closes the door to it, then it's clear. All right, I was showing up, I was putting in this, but he'll what? He'll direct your path. If he closes the door on this, it doesn't mean another door is not open. Be the best at what you do today, because it doesn't mean that Yah won't say, okay, hey, when you finally get it, I'm going to shut your womb up. I'm going to shut you trying to give birth to stuff like that over there. It's time for you to go ahead and make sure you take care of these babies that I birthed you. And I'll give you this area over here where you're not focused on what man wants, but you'll be focused on praising me. Right? You got to get to this place to where you show up. If you would show up, I promise you, you'll start to see what you like and don't like anyway. I promise you. But show up. A lot of persons don't show up at all. So here you are talking about, I don't know. Well, sometimes you might need to. If for whatever reason, Holy Ghost isn't talking to you where you feel like it's just supposed to be, she's going to come one day and just be like, do this, and you do it. It doesn't always work like that. It does not always work like that. So sometimes you might have to do process of elimination. Okay, I showed up for this. Apparently, that's not thing. I showed up for the babies. Apparently, that's not my thing. I showed up for the adults. Apparently, that's not my thing. I showed up trying to teach marriage. Apparently, that's not my thing. I tried to praise them. Maybe that's not my thing. But you keep going through it, and then one day you'll see it so clear where you're like, "Ooh, not only do I show up for this, but if I could do nothing else with my life outside of certain accountability I have to have for family and stuff." But you'll get to a point where you say, "If I did nothing else." If I was never allowed to do anything else, I would do this. If I were not allowed to do this, I don't know if I could breathe again. Hmm. Amen, babe. You see what I'm saying? Like preaching for me is like breathing. Like when I take time off, even if I'm not speaking to you, I'm gonna have to speak or get messages together or do something because I don't feel like I breathe. Sometimes person have to be careful when you ask me a question, because ask me a question and I'm gonna start giving you a lot of information. Why? Because it's like breathing. It's like walking. I don't think twice about it. I can chew bubble gum, I can eat, I can drink and do it at the same time. Right? I can look at several different screens and do it at the same time. It's what I'm called to do. You have a calling on your life, but you got to show up, my brother. You got to show up, my sister, and you got to show up even when you don't get why you showing up. Sometimes Yah's gonna say, show up. You don't believe me? Abraham, take Isaac, go with two men, and go and get ready to sacrifice. Wait a minute, my son? Come to find out, there was a ram in the bush the whole time. It wasn't about whether you would sacrifice him or not. It was about, would you show up? If I promise you your son gonna be there. So if I said something gonna happen to your son, it's not gonna happen what you think. It was a picture to show you what I would do with my son. I wanted to show you the same level that you were willing to go to, but you didn't go through it all the way because I stayed your hand and I had a sacrifice. I had a ram in the bush. I've got somebody coming, and this time I'm not gonna stay his hand, or I'm not gonna stay the hand of his oppressor. I'm not gonna stop the one who nails him. But Abraham, you wouldn't have found that out. And you wouldn't have found out how awesome your faith was had you not showed up. Keep showing up. You almost gave up, Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah. When you were Abraham and Sarai, I told you you will have a child. You gave up and almost didn't show up. Got mad because of Ishmael, but Ishmael was because you gave up. You didn't show up. You gave. Oh my greatness! I gotta stop because I gotta make a call soon. But praise Yah. See, some persons you gave up. You give up. You don't show up. And if you're gonna give up, then you can't show up. I've looked at this picture. It messes with my mind every time I think about it. There's a person who's mining for diamonds. and one person's like far further away than the other person is, and he won't give up. The person on the top is further away from the diamonds than the person on the bottom, but the person on the bottom turns around because even though he literally would have to just use his pickaxe one more time and he would see all the diamonds he wants, he gives up and turns around before he just takes one more swipe. He stopped showing up. He was ahead of the other person, but he gave up. Right? You got to show up. I'm telling you, like persons don't even believe in me. I wish they hadn't taken down the old YouTube channel. You can see it for yourself. Even in this new YouTube channel, if you look at the oldest videos we have, there's videos out there with barely any views. Even with a lot of you who supported us. Look at a lot of our Facebook stuff still to this day. A lot of stuff out there that doesn't get as many views as some of you guys get when you just show people pictures. Facebook is more a communal thing anyways for those that are part of the community. But I'm just trying to tell you, yeah, thousands of videos gone and stuff like that. And they're in places I'm finding more and more every day. And I try to even put some of the older ones on Patreon from time to time. But there's a lot missing. But I wish y'all could go back and see. Like now, when it came to some of the videos, we were actually getting some videos that might get, like, I think I actually hit 1 million hits on like 1 or 2 of the videos before, and was actually getting money from YouTube. I'm glad I don't anymore because they get to control your stuff, right? When they get to say we don't want our commercials on there. But yeah, like we were doing okay in that department. But when I did a live session and I started really focusing on the word and stuff, oh man, nobody wanted to listen at all. At all. I praise Yahweh for creation such as TikTok because TikTok is the first place. It was like perfect for myself because even before I went live, I could, like, at first I was just doing what everybody else does. You put a nice picture on there, put some music with it, blah blah, and then all of a sudden one day I heard somebody speaking, and I was like, oh, you can speak about issues, and you can talk about stuff, and you can talk about racism, you can talk about your religiosity, you can talk about this stuff, right? I had been showing up before that for 7 years. Before stuff jumped. Well, take that back. Okay, so more like, hold on. So 2013, I guess in the midst of 2013, definitely about 2014, I was on YouTube. 2018, I had made the TikTok account, didn't know what it was, didn't use it for a while. 2019 started picking up speed. Okay, so sorry. But really it wasn't until like 2021 that I actually could say, like, oh, like this is, we got to really be serious. We got to really be organized. We had to start thinking through some stuff. Was on there, but there's a great 3, 4, 5 years nobody cared what I had to say, and I'm just putting it out, showing up every day. And might have, at one point we had 5 persons that listened to me on a regular basis, but they wouldn't show up at the same time. So if I did a 3-hour live, maybe 1 to 2 persons might be on at a time here. One person will come on, one person come on, one person come on, and they might be nice. Every once in a while, they might give like a nice little gift during the live session. But I kept preaching and I was excited. You can ask my wife. I was so excited. Started the YouTube channel, had 2 subscribers. It was her and I. It went from 2 to 9. I was so excited. I was so amazed. Told some other persons that were in sister organizations with us at the time, went up to 26, then doubled up. I remember we doubled up, went from 26 to 52. I was like, man, I'm forgive my language, but I'm just being honest what I felt. I thought I was killing the game. 52. And I've never really had subscribers any more than 7,000. Now we're at 2,400 on the new YouTube channel. We reach a lot, right? We get a lot of views. We get a lot of minutes that are spent. But as far as subscribers, I've never really hit any kind of major threshold that gets you those, those YouTube plaques or whatever. But it was really like around 2018, 2019, especially when it started picking up steam the last 3 to 4 months of the year. 2020, at the beginning of it, before everything looked like it was going to shut down, I was getting respect. I was getting more respect even from outside our community. Even when SOC University started at first, it was actually something that started with others who weren't even part of our of Israelite belief, or were not even of our hue, if you will. A lot of them. And Elder Am and I were actually confused at first. We were like, "What?" Like, we thought that this would be something with all the persons that be listening to us and all the stuff that's going on with fighting for the people and all this. You would have thought the persons would have been like us. Thank you, Brother Vincent. Right. But I say all that to say we kept showing up. not knowing what was going to come next, not knowing how it was going to jump off, not knowing if it would jump off. Some of you might recall the days, depending on when you started listening to me and what channel you were listening to me on, where no lie, it's no stretch to say I could have made 30, 40, 50 videos a day. And a lot of persons didn't know at that time I still had 1 to 2 side hustles. Like a lot of y'all might like some of the reasons. Sometimes I would be out helping the community. Sometimes I would actually have time to do. But for real, you can ask my wife. There was literally, it had to be like at least what, babe? I mean, this is no lie. 3 month period, 4 month period, 5 month period, something like that. I might be exaggerating, but where I probably saw Solomon and Amma outside of live sessions in the Rising, I might have seen them 30 minutes for a break to eat during the day to make sure that we ate together in a place that wasn't even our home, right? Even though it's like home to us, but wasn't even our home, depending on where we were. And then I'd be out on the road again. And I would contact him throughout the day, try to text, try to FaceTime, to do stuff, but it was gone, right? And Saul finally, stuff was starting to grow to where I had to start making a decision. Where is it time to be full-time Levite and give time and give effort and give calls and do this stuff? Was pushing the jab, yeah, right. You got to keep showing up. If I say nothing else, I pray that this makes sense, right? Like you have to keep showing up. Show up when you don't feel like it too. That's the last one I'm gonna say. I got to make a phone call, and it's getting later and later. Last thing, I promise, is very last thing, right? Show up even when you don't feel like it. I'm not even gonna go that deep. Somebody just needs to hear it. Like, believe it or not, I love what I do, but it doesn't mean you're always gonna like what you do. Remember, there's a difference between love and like. I love what I do. That means I'm gonna act upon it. Doesn't mean I'm always gonna like it. I've told you before, Holy Ghost might tell me to do something. I don't like it, but I love it. I act upon it. I act upon it with the love of Yah, because Yahweh is love. At least for me, He is love. And it's gonna take a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit. Yeah. It's gonna take some sleepless nights. It's gonna take some nights of being like, what am I doing this for? I told y'all before, I told y'all last year, I was this close to being like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. This is difficult. And they got real strange a couple times this year when they started really trying to attack, generational wealth that we have, housing. To where as bad as this might sound to some, for the first time, I had to really say to y'all, like I had to come out to you guys in tears because I love this so much, but I had to be like, hey, work with me. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be all over the place for a little bit. I'm gonna give you everything I got, but sometimes it's not gonna be what you deserve. Sometimes you have to tell the persons you love that. Sometimes you have to tell the persons you're serving that. But if you are genuine in heart and you keep showing up, that's why I was saying earlier, you're gonna show up. Even if you show up, see, watch this. The person who shows up perfectly once a month can't mess with the person who shows up faithfully every day. You heard me? Right? Real talk. The person who shows up faithfully, perfectly once a month can't mess with the person who shows up every day. Jacked up. You know why? Because at least you love me enough to show up every day. And if you are going through life, at least it's honest life. And if you are limping around, at least it's honest limping, right? You don't have to be dressed up and suited and booted all the time, right? They can't mess. That's why I said your work ethic, man. I praise y'all that I saw my father have kidney stones. That man still get up and go to work same day. His work ethic was out of this world. Even when he was in the world, his work ethic was never in it. Right. I used to talk bad sometimes about my father by accident because I'd be like, man, he was busy and he worked 2.5 jobs. And I'm thankful that he did. But man, he never really saw me at the game and stuff. And then I started looking at pictures one day and I realized my mother, not only was she sick at a certain point in my life, but also my mother hated pictures to the point where she didn't even like taking pictures, which means that pretty much any picture that I have of myself playing any sport or anything, guess who had to take off of one of his 3 jobs and take it? The man showed up. So I'm glad I saw that example. I saw it every day, no matter what. There ain't no such thing as if you can't show up, have a really great reason. But if you show up enough, here's another thing. When you have to finally lay it down, when you finally say, I can't do it today, guess what? A lot of persons will say, no problem, we got you, because we see what you do. I'm telling you, don't try to be this person. Some of you are waiting. I said that was going to be the last thing I was saying. I'm still saying the last part. It's the same point. But I'm out after this. And then the person I need to call them, I promise you I'm about to call you. Hear this. Hear me, fam. Hear me. Look, don't miss this. Remember, I just said the person that meets with you once a month perfectly can't mess with the person who meets with you every day of the month, right? You need to recognize that in your showing up, you're going to learn on the job. And your showing up is going to mess with you. But I need you to hear this. Some of you are waiting for your showing up to be perfect. And you don't want to show up until it's perfect. And you don't want to show up. So even when you show up, you only show up from time to time, once a month, something like that, because it's got to be perfect when you show up. Some of you keep waiting for it to be without any, for it to be the perfect thing. The background got to be perfect. The money's got to be perfect. The lighting has to be perfect. The videos have to be perfect. The subscribers have to be perfect. Everybody has to be down with you. You must be known in the streets. No, it's going to be jacked up when you show up, because you're going to be sent. And guess what? If I don't know what I'm doing, then it's going to show up sometimes. When I show up, then sometimes I don't know what I'm doing shows up. Right? I'm called to preach. My preaching will be on point, but I might mess up with the signal. And you guys might have to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, I'm trying to bounce it up. Oh, whoops, I had it together. Blah blah." But I'm still bad with that. But because I show up consistently, you'll say, "I'll wait on him for that," because what he's got is better than what he doesn't got. And if you miss that, I'm gonna say it again, right? You'll still give me that, because you'll say what he has, what he does got is better. I know this ain't great English, but it's on point. What he's got is better than what he ain't got. So some of you will wait while I'm jacked up and trying to get myself together and mumbling through stuff and figuring out announcements and messing stuff up and busy saying hi, because I want to say hi to everybody and stuff that y'all wouldn't normally go through, right, with others. You'll go through that with me because I've shown up so consistently and you've seen a gift consistently enough that you'll say, I'll sit through the nonsense that he's getting better in, right? I am getting better, but you'll sit through the nonsense so that you can get to what Yah says our true calling is. Don't not show up. Look, it ain't gonna be great English at this point. Don't not show up because you're waiting for everything to be perfect. You can't be perfect in every area. You can't be great without partnerships. You can't be great without somebody to help you. You can't be great without somebody who's going to help you. That's why Yah's going to have to send you an Aaron, Moses. Before you go into Kemet, he's going to have to send your brother. You can't do this by yourself, and you can't be perfect, and you got to write down the vision and make it plain upon the tablets. Why? So that the persons who come in and see it, they'll say, Pastor Kofi, yeah, you ain't really that great with it, but I got you there. And I'm still not that great with that, because I got to let some of you guys cook. Right? I'm getting better. I'm not all the way there, but I'm saying there's a chef coming. I can't cook, but there's a chef coming. And the chef is just like, hey, tell me how many I need to feed. I'll tell you everything else I need. Just tell me how many I need to feed. Matter of fact, I'll take care of it. You just make sure that you take care of the vision. The chef is coming. Some of you can't preach. That's okay. The preacher's coming. Some of you aren't that nurturing. That's okay. The nurturer's coming. Some of you aren't people persons. That's okay. The people persons are coming, but show up to the people. I don't really like being on the phone. Guess what? I don't necessarily always like being on the phone. Shock. Yes, I don't. But I showed up in it, and I showed up in it for so long that now there's other persons that can help with it, and I actually have learned how to like being on the phone. But you got to show up. If you won't show up, it's not going to get better. If you won't show up, you won't learn. If you won't show up, persons won't see what you actually bring to the table. See, what you bring to the table, once again, you're looking for it to be perfect. Beloved, it's not going to be perfect. Beloved, it's not going to be, look, okay, I know, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is also perfect. I hope you get the context what I'm talking about. There will not be a time in life, at least on this side of Zion, where you will not make mistakes at all. You will make mistakes. You will be vulnerable. Make yourself vulnerable. I know. I don't want to be vulnerable. Everything's got to be perfect, right? That's why you got the armor on, because you are vulnerable. You're going to have to let persons know that you need armor, that you need somebody to have your back. You're going to have to put your hands in the air, and somebody's going to have to hold your arms up because you're not strong enough to hold them up yourself. Somebody might have to lift you up instead of you always lifting up others. Somebody might have to give you water instead of you always giving everybody else water. Somebody might have to pray over you because you can't pray. Somebody might have to step in when you don't show up because one day you just can't. And that's okay. Show up as much as you can, as often as you can. And every time you show up, bring the best that you got. And I promise you, there's going to be a whole bunch of persons who are going to start looking at the great things that you bring and saying, yeah, I'll look past that. I'll look past that quirk. I don't like that they use that word, but I'll still go ahead. I don't like the way that they seem to say, I don't like the way that they do this, but I'll say, you know why? Because they're not looking, because the ones y'all sending to you, see, watch this. Some persons look for your imperfections just to tell you how bad you are. Others are looking for your imperfections to help you to become perfect, even if they're the ones that help to perfect you. Did you catch that? Woo! That's a word. All right. Last one, and then thank y'all for being on. All right. Some persons look for your imperfections because all they're trying to do is strip you down. Oh, he ain't nothing. He ain't this. She ain't nothing. She ain't this. They ain't never going to be. They ain't never going to do nothing. They're not ever going to become. But some persons are looking for your imperfections because they're like, okay, I was looking to make sure I could use my gift to strengthen somebody up that we might become a body. I'm chilling this thing. That's right. Someone looking to refine you. I'm trying to be finished. I'm supposed to make a phone call, y'all. The person I'm supposed to make a phone call to, please forgive me. You on here. You see what I'm doing. Bless his name. Barak. Adsham Yahweh. I'm just trying. Man, I wish I had time one day to go there. I mean, nobody ever does, but man, to just really go through a lifetime of testimony. I'm the result of showing up. Like I'm the poster boy for it. Like I don't know any other way than showing up and failing. Like it's gonna sound crazy to say. I failed my way into making videos. I failed my way into become a better husband. Can't even hold you. I was a failure. I failed my way into becoming a great father. I failed my way into preaching Yah's word. I failed my way, but I kept showing up. I messed up, but I knew this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Like when I got a taste of this, I knew there's nothing else. And I would tell persons there was nothing else. And even when I would try to be like everybody else and get to do what everybody else does, the doors were always closed. There was nothing else for me. Right? I'm not talking about, obviously my family comes first. Stuff like, hear what I'm saying. As far as my work, I don't think I could ever do anything except this. If it all went wrong, I pray it doesn't. But I'm just being honest with you. If it all goes wrong, if somebody puts out some weird thing about me one day, if I mess up one day, who knows? And everybody says we're done with Pastor Kofi, we ain't never listened to him again. I'll be doing this on the street somewhere. I'll make sure my family's safe. I'll make sure that they get together, they can have whatever they need. But I'll be somewhere because I don't know what else I can do. I have nothing outside of this. It sounds odd. I'm not saying once again I have my family. I have I'm not saying I'll be, that S word idol without this. I'm just saying I don't know anything outside this. Come on, Sister Shima. I failed my way into righteousness because I failed my way into be covered by the blood. Like I'm a person. I'm the poster child for showing up. Oh my greatness, man. I'm the poster child for showing up. I can't help but keep showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. I don't know nothing else. If I mess up, I still keep showing up. If everybody says they don't like it, I keep showing up. If nobody shows up, I show up. If 0 people come on, whatever we're supposed to do, I show up. I'm the type of person that will have a Zoom session, 0 people show up, and I will stay on for 30 minutes preaching a word. Because that's how I started. I preached to angels. I preached to trees. I preached to insects. I preached to the mirror. I preach to the Most High. I just kept showing up. I don't know anything different. I'm sorry. I wish I did. I wish I could tell sometimes I can say, yes, let's go through step A and step B. And of course, if you do this, but I'm just being honest. I have a work ethic, and it's not even necessarily a work ethic that might be different than yours. How about this? If you don't want to call it a work ethic, I have a show up ethic. I got a show up ethic. I can't help it. If I believe in it, especially, I can't help it. If I know this Yah's word, I can't help it. I got to have it. I need it. I don't want it. I want nothing. I lack nothing. I need it. I crave it. I crave it like the crackhead needs to hit. I need a word from Yah. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about that I have no free will or that I don't want any free will. No, I'm talking about that I'm high on the spirit. I don't have to hit you with tongues to be high in the spirit. Doesn't mean that I don't believe in tongues. I believe in tongues. I'm just saying, I don't got to sit there and say hallelujah all the time to be high in the spirit. The spirit is high in me. That's right. I hunger and thirst after righteousness, and I'm filled. And when you get filled with hunger and with righteousness, and your thirst is quenched with righteousness, can't nothing else quench your thirst, right? I drink out of glass quite a bit, so every once in a while I drink out of copper bottle, glass, things like that, out of metal, right? So every once in a while you'll see me with plastic, but I hate it. I can't stand it because I'm used to getting that freshness. I eat a lot of fruit, so I get a lot of H3O2. So when it comes to certain things or whatever, I can't just have fake water or things like that. My body rejects it. My tongue rejects it. I almost want to throw up water. Come on, you get that living water. Come on. When you get a taste of this, you show up. Oh, taste and see that Yehovah is Tabah. Once you taste it, if you taste something this great, you got to eat it. You got to drink it. Taste it means just let it hit your tongue, right? Let it get to the tip of your mouth, right? Whatever they do, I don't know how to do that, right? Dipping into that living well, right? Once you get a taste of it, why would you go back? Keep showing up. I'm telling you. I hope this helps somebody. I'm done because I feel like I'm a broken record. Show up, show up. I feel like I'm a broken record, but it is what it is, man. Show up, show up. Pastor Kofi, my wife and I are having problems. My husband and I have problems. Show up. No, you don't understand. We're not going to show up. No, you don't understand what they said. Show up. And show up as the man of Yah that he told you to be. Show up as the woman of Yah he told you to be. No, I don't understand. I'm not doing that well. My preaching's not show up and preach anyways. You know how many times I've been sick or had headaches or can't remember what I preached? Show up anyways. You don't understand. My business has been in the red for 3 years. Yeah, most businesses don't make it past 7. You still got 4 years to go before you can even start complaining. Show up. They racist over here. They won't even listen to the word. You know how many times I go on Clapper and deal with racism? You know how many times I just go through life and deal with racism? Show up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Show up. Show up with a fervor that is uncommon to man because you're more than a conqueror. Stop acting like conquerors who give up if everything's not right their way. You know, the biggest of conquerors, all of them basically, or some of them, if they can't have everything their way, they just leave. They give up. No, show up. My father wasn't in my life. Show up as a father anyways. Show up as a mother anyways. My mother wasn't in my life. Show up as a mother anyway. Show up as a father anyway. You know, the last 5 churches I was in, they disrespected me. Show up anyways and respect your father and your mother and respect those that are the truth and respect the Most High Yah no matter where you are. Nobody listens to me. Show up and listen to them. Show up. I keep saying I ain't got nothing else, and then we end up going to something else. Right? I love y'all to life. Prayerfully, this helped with something. Prayerfully, it shook something up. Prayerfully, it jostled you a little bit. You might need to hear that. I almost messed up. Minister Tamara, I almost said, show the F up. Because in the world, that's what we would have said. You remember when we used to play sports? Bruda, you remember when we used to play sports and somebody didn't show up on the team? No, show up. Get yourself in order. We're not losing because of you. We put too much time and energy into this. I was wide receiver, tallest one on the field. We need a touchdown. They're going to throw it up. Everybody knows where the ball is going. You going to catch it or not? That's what the great ones do. Everybody knew Jordan was going to take the last shot, but you don't remember what everybody knew. You just remember Jordan standing there still. You hear what I'm saying? Show up. Everybody knew in the Olympics, if y'all been watching that or whatever, I know a lot of y'all were turned off from it, but everybody knew Steph Curry, especially in those, everybody knew he was going to turn on at some point in those last two games. Everybody knew nobody was touching the ball but him. Doesn't matter. Everything's going in. Real ones got to at least show up. You hear what I'm saying? Some of you are so great in your mind and in your faith, but your works aren't there because you haven't even shown up for the assignment. How do you expect to get paid? You got hired by the company, but you won't even show up for the orientation. But you waiting on your bonus money for signing the dotted line. You got to at least work some hours. Y'all told you to start a company. You ain't made sure you got one customer. Watch this. You know who your first customer for your company is you. You ain't even served you in your company yet. You haven't even served your family. How is it your spouse hasn't gotten your product yet? Show up. I've been outside and preached. I've gone door to door and preached. I'm trying my best. I want to get on the street corner and preach more. I haven't done it in a long time. Can't wait to do it. And sometimes you go the street corners I'm usually sent to kind of be dangerous. Might have to ask some of y'all to come out and watch my back a little bit, right? And be prayed up with me. But regardless, so what? Show up. Nobody in my community is eating that well. Okay, you have a sign. Show up. What am I going to do? I don't even have money for all this stuff. Hey, you got money to go get peanut butter and jelly? You got money to get some bread? I know you will, Bruder. I love you for that. Right? You hear what I'm saying? Real talk. Show up. There's somebody who's thugging out there. The thuggiest of thugs, the thuggish ruggish bone out there. And if he saw you show up, he put his weapon down. Or if anything, he promised you that he'll only pick up his weapon to protect you. Change your community, feed somebody, see what happens. Make sure somebody eats on a regular basis. I remember what it was. That there's places in DC like Some. Some of y'all might have heard of that if you're from DC, called Some, which stands for Some, so others might eat. They had all types of stuff, whatever. Go there and make sure that they eat and see what happens. You see them in the street acting a fool, and watch as you walk up to them and they start, oh, hey, what's up? I'm sorry. And they start to back down because you served them. There's a person out there that's ready to follow you, but you haven't even shown up so they can see you. I've met persons. I've talked to persons. They say, Pastor Kofi, man, I swear I saw you in a dream, or I saw this, or blah, blah, whatever. And hey, to each their own. I believe, pretty much every single one person that told me that, but I'm just trying to tell you, they'll say, oh, I saw this, and there was certain, I could see your silhouette, I could blah, blah, right? But I never met you before. Now I seen you. What if I never showed up? How you going to see me? Yah has put you in person's dreams. Hear me, beloved. I swear I'm trying to close. I can't get this off me. Ah, um, ah, like, Yah has put some of you in dreams. And all you got to do is show up. That's how awesome this is. You ever thought about that? That literally you are somebody's dream, but you don't think of yourself like that. And you're waiting to be perfect. But just the way you are, somebody's been dreaming about you. Somebody's had a vision put on you. Well, I'm not going to go through all that stuff tonight because I'm not going to sit here. I don't have enough time to go through that wrestling. Hello to you. How you doing? But I can say one thing that men do is show up. Salah. All right. I think I'm done. If I keep going, we're going to be here all night. Okay. I love y'all to life. Take care. Show up. Yeah, we got to stop. I might need to just kind of be here for a moment. But show up. No matter what happens, just keep showing up. I promise you that I'll show up, and you promise y'all that you'll show up. But you want to promise me too, that's fine. We can enter into covenant with each other too. But make sure that you show up on what y'all has for you. There's somebody that's been dreaming about you and waiting for you, and you've been the reason. You'll be the reason why somebody becomes greater. As we say all the time, remember that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And because you show up, you will be the reason why somebody who is in this system no longer has to be of it. Shalom, family.